I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Santiago Sabater, CEO of DeFiChain Accelerator. Santiago, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking the time to come on today.
Thank you very much, Ashton. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
You're very welcome. Let's dive into all things decentralized finance and more. DeFiChain is working on some interesting initiatives. Let's just start by kicking it off with a high-level overview of DeFiChain from you, and then we'll dive into the details.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think we're going to talk about DeFiChain in more detail now, and it's a pretty cool opportunity to present this here a little bit. DeFiChain is a Bitcoin fork, so it's a dedicated blockchain which is focusing on decentralized finance application. So it's all about bringing DeFi really to Bitcoin and going into a different direction than Ethereum does it by just allowing all the smart contracts capabilities just directly on the technical basis of Bitcoin itself. So it's a really different tech angel for whole the DeFi sector. And Bitcoin sidechains are growing more and more. Lightning Network is increasing heavily when it comes to user base, and DeFiChain is all about that, bringing DeFi to Bitcoin.
Very cool, Santiago. And yeah, I feel like there is a whole world of potential to unlock in the Bitcoin network with DeFi, and many don't see it coming just because the main network doesn't support smart contracts. Doesn't mean that there isn't a part of the network that can, with these side chains and Lightning and global adoption from countries. So very cool. Now with DeFiChain, are you focused on implementing smart contracts can mean a lot of functionality, but obviously there's DeFi specifically, as mentioned in the name. Is that just creating lending and earning protocols and staking, and what else is involved with DeFiChain?
Yeah, that's a good one. So basically, when it comes to DeFiChain, the most interesting part is that all those DeFi applications that you are talking about, so lending, staking. I mean, staking is a consensus mechanism, so I wouldn't rather determine this as DeFi application itself, but it comes to a decentralized exchange, which we have on DeFiChain, which is basically the marketplace for the whole ecosystem. And DeFiChain is really focusing on creating decentralized assets, meaning DeFiChain has, similar to the Mirror protocol on the Terra blockchain, decentralized stocks, decentralized precious metals. You can trade indices. You can trade all this kind of assets, which were basically just tokenized on the blockchain by importing those prices from the real world through oracles to the blockchain itself. And when it comes to DeFiChain, it's pretty interesting that you're not jumping around from protocol to another protocol. Like everything is just natively programmed at the decentralized exchange on the native layer of the blockchain itself. And people just interact really smoothly with everything together. It's not like going to Uniswap to use the decentralized exchange and then go to make a DAO to lend some currencies. You can do all of that on DeFiChain pretty smoothly at one place.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and I feel like that's one of the setbacks with DeFi right now is there's all these different ecosystems, and it's not really one cohesive platform. And now I'm curious more on the advantages of making DeFi on Bitcoin. Is it backing on the strength of the Bitcoin network or of the mining of Bitcoin, or how does that tie into Bitcoin?
Yeah, that's a good one. So when it comes to DeFi on Bitcoin, the main idea is, or there's two types of ideas. So the first idea is that we're shifting from the programming language that we have on the third Turing complete with Solidity. We shift to the standards that Bitcoin always kept to, and this is using a non-Turing complete language. By choosing this path, the biggest advantage is that smart contracts are just greatly simplified. Like everything you program it's way simpler in the whole structure itself. This makes like all the smart contracts way more secure. And also for developers, it's just a different way how you can approach specific smart contracts, and you can reduce the attack vectors for hackers. So this is like the first thing that comes with that. Secondly, DeFiChain is designed that and tried to explain this already, that the DeFi applications are embedded to the blockchain itself. And what happens is that everything is embedded in the consensus of the blockchain. So if you want to make a specific change for the decentralized exchange, for example, which required maybe a hard fork, then you see the difference between a protocol, for example, like Uniswap, where the developers of the protocol itself can make the difference without forking Ethereum. And this sounds like a disadvantage in the first place, but what happens and what is the result of that is that people are really like the security of each DeFi application on DeFiChain is something which the whole blockchain is interested in. So DeFiChain itself gets a problem if a specific DeFi application is not running perfectly. So the whole team, the whole core developer team, the whole community and everything that is, all the people that are working on those DeFi applications really make sure that everything is 100% trustful. And this is like a design decision that DeFiChain took to really stand out and not to allow projects to build rug pulls on DeFiChain and to get away from all these problems you have on other Ethereum-based or Turing-complete based smart contracts blockchain.
That's great to hear, Santiago. And yeah, I feel like in the world of DeFi, currently in those Turing-complete ecosystems, it's easy to make an anonymous team, launch something, and rug pull it. Now,
exactly.
With Bitcoin DeFi and with DeFiChain, where exactly are you at with it right now? Is there already value being locked into DeFi, as normally DeFi platforms are compared as like the TVL, and how much is locked into the protocols?
Exactly. So the market capitalization of DeFiChain is now around 2.3 billion. And please don't name me down on the number, but I think the total value locked is around 1 billion. So it's a lot. So when you compare just the numbers, DeFiChain is really skyrocketing slowly, and in comparison to other big projects, you can compare it. So we basically surpassed PancakeSwap now from market capitalization, and then it's when you start thinking about, hey, I mean, PancakeSwap is such a big project. It seems to be that DeFiChain is not that small anymore.
Definitely, yeah, that's great to hear, and yeah, it's a lot of people are familiar with the PancakeSwap and the value locked, it increases really quickly. So it's great to hear that DeFiChain is already at $1 billion around there. And now with DeFiChain, I'm guessing you also have a native token. Is that the main token that is used with locking value in, or is it also Bitcoin itself?
Yeah, so DeFiChain has its native token, which is called DFI. And you can use DFI if you want to, for sure, bet on the whole ecosystem. But DFI is, from design perspective, used for every DeFi application on the blockchain itself. So, for example, if people create decentralized assets, before they always needed to also lock in some DeFi. Nowadays, they can also do this only through locking $, which is our native decentralized stablecoin. Then this decentralized stablecoin, $, you need to lock in DFI. And DFI is used for staking. So if you want to create a masternode, you need to lock in 20,000 DFI to do so. So you are eligible to vote on blockchain changes and participate in staking. If you want to use the decentralized exchange, a lot of pairs are paired with DFI when it comes to crypto pairs. But DeFiChain is not forcing you to buy DFI or to hold DFI. You can do that if you want to, if you believe in the system. But if you're just interested in the decentralized assets and you just want to, for example, hold like Tesla and $, so basically Tesla and dollar in your portfolio and still earn like high liquidity mining rewards, you can do that on DeFiChain, and you're not forced to hold DeFi. You use it as a gateway because you need this as trading pair to get in. But once you're in, you're not forced to buy DeFi.
That's great to hear. And you mentioned there Tesla, and I was reading in DeFiChain about stock tokens on DeFiChain as well. Can you talk about how that works?
Sure. So it's a little bit complicated topic, but I will try to make it really short. So when it comes to D assets, you just pick the real world price And what you do, and in like the blockchain term, it's called Oracle. There's some sort of mechanism to just pick up the rework price and import it to the blockchain itself. And when you have the price on the blockchain, then you can mint those D assets. So like a decentralized token, sure, this cannot be created by just one person, right? There cannot be like one central entity who gives out those D Tesla or any stock token that we have. So people need to mint them. And this is comparable to the principles of MakerDAO, for example, when people lock in Ethereum to mint DAI. And this is the same principle. So people can use like Bitcoin, Ethereum, DFI, stablecoins like DUS dollar, DUSDC to log into a vault. And then after locking this in and ensuring that there's a value behind this, they can mint those D assets with an over collateral ratio of minimum 150%. So what's the result of this is that you have like those D assets which are created fully decentralized, but still you can keep your cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, what you want to hodl like for a really long time. And in the meantime, you mint those D assets and then you can trade with them. You can get the exposure on the prices itself just by betting on the Tesla price, or you can put them into liquidity mining and you can do whatever you want. But also you're not forced to do that. So if this sounds a little bit complicated to you, you can also just buy the assets on the DEX, and you can always be sure that the assets are backed by the collateral from the people. And this is for sure like always this is always tracked. So yeah.
Very cool. And now speaking of the DEX, is it a combination of those stock tokens and Bitcoin and DFI and other smart contract tokens, or like what's all included in the main assets that are sort of trading on the DEX?
Exactly. So you have like the wrapped version of Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, Bitcoin Cash, Dogecoin, Litecoin, all of those more or less famous cryptocurrencies you can use on the DEX just to hold or trade it whatever you want to do with that. And then on top of that, you have now 31, if I'm not getting this wrong, 31 or 32 stock tokens. For example, PayPal, Tesla, Netflix, and also like indices like the MSCI World, MSCI Emerging Markets, precious metals like gold, silver. So basically on DeFiChain, you can build like a really diversified portfolio. You can actually build like a Ray Dalio portfolio on DeFiChain. And this is pretty cool.
That's very cool. And how is DeFiChain continuing to expand? Is it mainly just the DEX and the DeFi protocols of people locking in their assets for rewards, or is it that as you mentioned at the beginning, the development is really easy, so people are creating new DeFi protocols? How is DeFiChain growing the most?
Yeah, so okay, for sure, when it comes to seeing prices rising, and when it comes to earning money from the investment part from DeFiChain, it's all about rewards and people locking in money. And I mean, this is nothing new, right? This is how the industry also seems to work in the most part. But DeFiChain really tries to create a real use case beside of all that gambling and just farming rewards. So this is the main reason why DeFiChain is driving the D assets so strongly. And DeFiChain is driving those D assets also in other countries, trying to settle them down in third world countries where people just don't have access to D assets, right? Or also for people like digital nomads who are traveling around the world. They experience the issues that they cannot really buy or cannot really use traditional brokers. And all for that, you have like this real use case. And if this doesn't apply to you, and this won't apply to many people, because many people in Western world, they have access to everything. So they don't really need the D assets to get into Tesla exposure. But for those people, it's just like, it's just easy. You can just like, you're just seeing your Bitcoin position doubling, tripling, and then you just go and diversify into Tesla with one click, right? If you would do that in the normal way, you would sell your Bitcoin against fiat, then withdrawing fiat, sending fiat to your broker, then buying the stock over there, and then it's just complicated. And there are a lot of more reasons I could tell about now, but I think this will be a little bit too long.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like serious competitive advantage and one-click solution. So that's great to hear, Santiago. Now, I want to look forward with DeFiChain. It sounds like you already have great traction in a lot of DeFi protocol apps working on the platform. What comes next for DeFiChain? Is there anything that in the near future people are expecting to see be rolled out on the ecosystem as well?
Yeah, so the next bigger technical approach that we have is the futures and options trading on the DeFiChain. So DeFiChain will implement all kinds of trading that you can imagine that we see in traditional finance, and we are trying to decentralize every single aspect of this. And what's missing right now is like the possibility to do future swaps and option trading, and we already have like a beautiful glimpse on the future swaps on DeFiChain, because you can already do some futures trading to arbitrage the D stocks, which is pretty profitable if you're like a little bit techy and you can get into the logic behind it. But this will be more user friendly in the next phases, and we will also implement the option trading. So this will be pretty cool. And after that, DeFiChain will definitely expand also to NFTs, and will announce some sort of next blockchain level for the DeFiChain itself, which will be called DeFi MetaChain. And DeFi MetaChain will be going more into the direction of connecting with Ethereum-based Turing-complete smart contract blockchains, so that we have like two different angles to the whole industry. We have like the native DeFi layer, which will be always connected to Bitcoin and will serve Bitcoin as a DeFi layer. And we also will have the DeFi MetaChain, which will be some sort of pathfinder that you can really easily navigate through DeFiChain to many other ecosystems and blockchains.
Very cool. A lot of great upgrades to look forward to. Thank you so much for taking the time, Santiago, to come on and talk about all of this. What is the best way for people to learn more about DeFiChain, to get involved in this Bitcoin DeFi ecosystem?
So there's one landing page which were created from us, the DeFiChain Accelerator team, and we created. So this landing page is called choose.defichain.ac, and there you can basically see like how's the path to get into DeFiChain. So really simplistic with you see just three possible for the beginning: staking, liquidity mining, and decentralized loans. And then you can get started like slowly with everything. You have like 5 steps until you get always to your goal. And this is a pretty good way how to get started. But I think if you want to dive deeper, if you really want to better the ecosystem, if you really want to get the details and make the best out of the investment and the experience, you should definitely get in contact with the community. So just come into the Telegram group, visit the DeFiChain.com website, check out the influencers that we have within the ecosystem, which do a lot of videos about DeFiChain. And this will definitely be important.
Great. Thank you so much, Santiago. I will leave that Telegram and the ecosystem links you mentioned in the description box below. All the best with everything DeFiChain moving forward, and let's follow up in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ashton.